We're live. Hey, everybody. You're probably hearing me, but not seeing me. And Ben, of course, we're both here.
Mhm. We are both
Hi there, everybody.
here.
I was just looking at some emails. I got my computer screen open. We got Ben right here. Let's say good morning to Ben. Here we go. All right, we
What's
got
up,
it.
guys? How are things?
We're in action.
How is your morning or your afternoon or your
Whatever it
evening
is.
or whatever your thing is? How's it
All
going?
right. We got someone on board. I see Mavis. She just popped up. Good morning,
Yep.
Mavis. 7 a.m., 7-ish, 7:13 a.m. here in Arizona. Mavis and I are both in Arizona. All right.
Yeah, it's a good time to be in Arizona. Sun's coming up. Probably looking beautiful out there. What's up, Raymond? How you
All
doing,
right.
man?
We got the regulars. We got the regulars. It's so nice to have regulars.
Say
Familiar crowd.
hello. Say hello. Say hello. We love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Joe, what are you working on, man?
Well, we got to wrap this thing up. Today, the agenda is to get the, for me, on this painting, my vision for completing it is maximize contrast. So I want my dark water really dark. I want everything that's dark to be as dark as possible so that I can get my lights to really glow. So I'm going to be adjusting what's dark and light. Edges. I always do paintings like every painting I do, whether big or small, is bringing edges closer together, because I don't like doing a whole layer of background, then a whole layer of middle ground, then a whole layer. I don't like doing that method. I like doing all my blocks and then bringing the edges. So the finish is in the edges. That's it. So I'll be focusing on getting edges. I'd like to see this splash shoot outward more. I was seeing what happens when big things splash in water. It's very forceful. So I want to make the splash flying toward me, kind of like branches of a tree. Just, oh, did we lose you there for a moment, Ben? I got a little beep.
Yeah, I was checking things out
Okay.
in the digital verse.
All right.
Check back in.
Yeah.
What's up, latecomers? JS267, California, and Court Lau Love.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's.
What's up, dudes?
Are we sure we're saying those usernames right?
No, man.
No. The answer is no. I like it. But we have a good time trying. Okay. I'm going to set up my paints. Got to get my colors on here. I worked over this last week. I worked on a new real-time paint along video, how to, based on that aspen forest that you all saw. You know, those of you watching this live stream were probably present when I was showing that mural I worked on. And so I turned it into, I did a small version. I want to show you, now that I'm talking about it. Sorry, you're looking at my paint tray there. See this picture here? Let's flip to the other camera. This picture, change of scene for a moment. This is a paint along. It took 1.5 hours. I really went slow and talked about all the different things, and it's at a very relaxed, slow pace. I'm excited to show that. It's the exact same technique that I used to create a giant 20-foot by 20-foot mural for a client. And I thought, you know what, I should do a combo. I should do the big version, little version in this video that I'm looking to release. So, in the next day or two, I'm going to put those up publicly. I'm excited to show that off.
So you just did a workshop, Joe. Apparently, some of these people have seen that mural in a home in
That's
person.
right. That's right. They were there. That is the exact mural. And so I'm excited that we have some present that were at the workshop. That's very exciting. The workshop was one of the best I've had. We had such a good time. So we went over to my job site, and it was just I'm multitasking. I lost my train of thought. It was just convenient that I had I had a job in progress that I could show off. And so I had just barely put finishing touches. Actually, I went back after that workshop and put more finishing touches. And who knows, I'll probably do it again. But they got to see it in person. Very fun. And it's an honor for me to show off my work in person. I don't feel like my work is the best. I just really enjoy showing off sharing what you do with others. Especially this group was a lot of muralists by trade. We're talking about people that are also out there making a living doing this for clients. And in this little town, it's not like I have a circle of mural painter friends. So it was very fun. I had a good time. Just a shout out to the great company. We had a real good time.
Yeah. Good times, great oldies.
Oh, you know what? I don't even need to use the white. I have a kind of in slow motion this morning. I found a whole tub of unused white there. I use wall paints. Anybody that didn't already know that. We're just putting wall paints in tubes here. I'll need lots of purple. Let's put the purple over here. Put dark colors next to dark colors so they don't, muddy. They don't mix. Dark and light don't mix well. Okay, blue. I need lots of blue. When you make a white thing like polar bear fur, when you want it to look white, but it's in the dark, I think this is an important trick to understand how to do. And so it's the absence of all colors other than the light source makes a thing white, right? It's just logic. If we're making a white thing, then we are reflecting all the colors that are shining on it without adding an extra like color what would you call it when it like leans to one color of the rainbow, without adding a color of its own, without adding any object color to it. So if we only reflect, for example, you'd have a gray piece of metal if you just reflected like a mirror, use the way you do it, equal coloring from the environment. So on the polar bears, we have this real blue environment. So I just added blue. As long as I don't add too much brown or some other color, some orangish color that's not in the landscape, they're either going to look like they are light blue things in the dark, or they're going to look like white things in the dark. So the idea is hopefully they don't look like blue, but it's, it would be hard to tell the difference. The main thing to take away from this is that if a polar bear was light blue in color and you saw it at night, it would be very hard to tell that it was anything other than an ordinary colored polar bear. That's probably the main scientific takeaway that I get from this live stream.
Who is it here? Well, first off, America Marcy. Good luck buying a car today.
Nice. Buying a car, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's
cool.
gonna be fun. And then what do we got here with Mavis?
I like it. I like the thinking out loud. That's good. Good vibe. We're in real time here, folks.
I know. Yeah, truth be told, my coffee's kicking in, guys. Thanks for being here.
We can always tell partway through the stream when it does start kicking in because things kind of jump up a gear.
Yeah.
And then you say something like, and then it's followed by.
Well, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's I am cursed to be fixated on the now. But that's a bummer if now sucks. But it's great if you're trying to leave a sucky now behind, because you just become fixated on the new now. And the old now is just somewhere else,
Nice. Well said. Wow, I might have to process that for a little bit.
Here I am thinking about my now, and I'm like,
it's just not
blah.
great. Yeah, we've all been
now is blah. But if I stay with now, if I stay open to the changing nature of nowness, pretty soon I'm not going to care much about the blah that is right now.
Man, we need to, let's make the poster. If I stay open to the changing nature of nowness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was raw. That was good raw material.
Well, because I can get fixated on my morning that wasn't so great, and then I can just stay with my morning.
Yeah.
And then like
stay with
and
it.
And then my whole day is gonna suck,
Why do we do that? That's why do we linger in the, how come it's so hard to move on because I'm the same way. Gear switching, I find, especially the proverbial switching gears, as in switching subjects or like switching moods. Man, I have the hardest time with that. But why is it so hard to let go? Of is it control? Is it desire to control the circumstances?
It's probably a lot of things. For me, what it is insecurities mostly. Like your insecurities make you stuck. They make you vulnerable, and so like if something happens that aggravates your insecurities, like although the inciting event has come and passed, you're still going to just be left with the baggage of like that discomfort, you just got poked, and so like, the event's gone, but you're still there with your feelings. And so you got to figure out why did this thing why was it so unpleasurable, and then you got to look at yourself and see what it is about yourself
but why is it so hard to just, I don't understand why it demands such attention, because I'll get bawled out by somebody mad at me on the road, and my logic is saying I am never going to see them again. If I never figure out what just happened, it literally has zero consequence, zero. Because this is just road rage and it happens every day so many times, we cannot possibly give it due attention. You know what I mean? So, but yet there I am, frozen in the shock of getting chewed out by an angry person, and I just have such a hard time getting out of it. It's like, why am I paralyzed?
Because it has implications, like we consider the implications, like why would someone say these things? Why would someone do these things? We want to consider.
I'm a nice guy. Why would they do this to me? Yeah.
So it challenges our impression of ourselves, challenges our beliefs, and so then we're sitting here sorting through all the challenges.
What about
unless you're just very secure? If you're very secure, then I don't think you would think twice about it. But I am not very secure.
Yeah, I hear you. What about the Seinfeld episode? Does anybody likes? I know everybody's not familiar with Seinfeld, but it's very, very funny old TV show. And I remember one episode where he like gives some advice that really fails, that doesn't work, and the person that's doesn't work is like, "You're a very bad man." And Seinfeld is saying, "Could my mother have been wrong?" Very logically thinking through it. Could my mother have been wrong? Am I a bad? He's really evaluating. Is this true? Am I a bad person? He's like, just like you're saying, checking his reality.
Yeah. Mavis says habits are hard to change, but it takes a conscious choice to choose another option.
Yeah. Okay. Right. That's true. Muscle memory is hard.
Yeah. Why do we stay stuck? But I'm curious, Mavis, each choice is an independent action. So why would we continually choose to remain fixated? That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, that is. There is. I hear what you're saying. There's choice involved. Yeah, and like switching gears, like back to switching gears being incredibly hard. I have a hard time with it, and there is some conscious choice in there. So I see your point. I consciously am like, nope, I'm not ready. Sorry, folks, I'm not ready to talk about the other things. And it's like it's almost like I sense a stubbornness inside of me that's unwilling to let go. So it's almost, I would almost describe it as a type of stubbornness.
Well, you know, you need if you're gonna let go of something someone said or done that like hurt you or poked your vulnerabilities, you're gonna have to accept something in order to let it go. And what you accept may not be that comfortable. It may not be that flattering. It may be an acknowledgement of your shortcomings.
Boy, that's yeah, I hear what you're saying, because I do find myself often saying in my head, you know, it's time to admit that you just don't know how to do that very well.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that is kind of a painful conclusion in, you know, certain circumstances. You know, it's time for you. You know, you just need to admit that you failed today. You failed.
Hey, Court Lau loves Hugh, whatever. Says
nice.
Sorry, I didn't act more confident in my ability to say your name here, but how did painting turn into therapy, they say? Well, I'm going to counter, when was painting ever anything other than therapy?
Right. That's good.
Yeah. And two, yeah, we're going to keep talking like this. So
because we're trying to survive. We're a couple of creatives trying to survive is why we like to talk about it. We just woke up and we're dealing with life.
Yeah, we got Frankie Noodles back in the building. What's up, homie? Also,
here's my black water.
Raluca Christina says, "Thank you, Joe, for the response and the appreciations."
Hey, you bet. You know what? Let's show. Raluca sent in some. If I remember right, she sent in some cool looking work. Let me see if I'm right about this. Raluca's got some really cool looking drawing work that I would like to show off. Let me see. I might be wrong. Let me see. Give me a minute. Going down here. I want to show off Raluca's work. Yeah, let's search for it. Might have accidentally.
For Raluca's work. Searching for Raluca's work. Yeah. Hey, Mavis says truth can be difficult to face. Joe, truth can be difficult.
It is difficult. It is difficult to face.
But you know, truth can also be like beautiful to face. So it's kind of interesting.
Both. Both. Yeah. Well, you know, change kind of hurts, right? Change hurts in general. You know, it's like bending and changing it's tiring. Kind of like in the physical, like in the very shallow sense. This is Raluca's work. Great line work. Look at, man, love the shadows. Look at the little shadows on the tree and everything, you know, like on the people. Lots of detail to perspective. I'm going to skim through these. So I was really impressed. Just stuff that she's been working on. She does these little line studies that are very fun. Raluca, I think you should illustrate a journal of some type. You know, like if you were traveling, it'd be so cool to look through a journal of your travels that had these kind of drawings, because they have a sense of story. These drawings
are very storybook, aren't they?
Yeah. And there's a slight exaggeration to the perspective or looseness to it, a whimsical. It shows the ability to fine tune perspective, but a lack of importance on exacting it. In that combination, to me, is really entertaining to look at. Here's some more. We got some more right there.
I can do it. I just don't care that much about it.
Yeah, exactly. Or just not like, here we go. Here's some exaggerated perspective. It's fun. You know, it adds an element of fun to the picture.
Yeah, it's kind of what is it? That guy that did all the wordplay and the weird characters.
Dr. Seuss.
Whoville? Yeah, Whoville. Yeah, Seuss.
Yeah,
it's kind of Seussy.
Yeah, right.
So it's like there's the non-parallel lines on the buildings and sheds and things.
You know? Yeah, that's it. That's Raluca's drawings. We'll come back to the computer and look at more drawings.
Yep,
drawings.
Cool, Raluca. Very Arthur Conan Doyle, Court Love says.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I don't know that
Loves
I don't know
cute.
that either. Not familiar with that one. I'm doing almost black here. I added black and purple to my otherwise phthalo blue, and I'm going to use that for the dark water in the foreground. That first, like a lot of this brighter blue is the white canvas showing up from underneath the dark, excuse me, the dark water. And so I'm going to use that for the underwater, those dark splotches. It's going to look black, but then if I shine a real bright light on it, it will definitely not be black. It's just a dark blue violet. And the reason I'm using that blue violet is because, adding that bit of purple will, when I add reflection, which you're going to see in a minute, it's going to make it not turn green. We don't want the turquoise color. So I'm going to pre-mix another color here. Give me a second to grab a container. And this is going to be my reflection color. I always mix a reflection color that has purple in it. So I'll show you. I'll just go like this. It's really, really simple process. It always has some purple. So there's a little bit of purple. This is a nighttime scene, so more purple is probably a good thing. Let's put some of this white in there. Here we go. And let's see what we've got. This will be my reflection. Yeah, just like some lilacs.
Truth can be difficult to face. Truth can be difficult to face. That's an interesting thing to say. I'm going to add, truth can be difficult to identify.
Yeah, okay. It's complex.
And then if you can manage to identify it, facing it is like the thing you do after. And so it's quite dubious.
Dubious. Nice
working
word.
Working off of this truth thing. I'm thinking this through here. So if your primary goal is to latch on to what is true, you're going to have to first have confidence that you can identify it. All right. Okay. Well, identifying what's true is going to be subjective to the beholder. Well, now you got to get empathetic enough to be inside a beholder. And then you have to have confidence that you've arrived at what they perceive as true. And then you have to decide how you feel about it or whether or not you're going to face it. But
to be fair, you're saying all those things like they don't naturally happen when a lot of that process is kind of like what we're wired to do. It kind of happens intuitively. It's complex. I agree that it's complex, but I think that the truth is often just a very practical thing that we're all aware of. The elephant in the room is a very, very familiar concept. Like, okay, we're trying not to face this, but it's time to admit that my kids don't believe the same thing as me.
Right. Their version of truth is different,
Yeah. Kids don't think dad's right anymore. They're adults. And
I guess it's nice. It's nice to package things up sometimes, but it's also like in practice, like messy.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's all. I'm finding it more messy in my life than it looks in a phrase on a screen.
Yeah. Well, and the subject matters. I mean, it's not the same for all subjects. You're talking about, if you're talking about facing the truth that you're not healthy and you need to work out if you want to live longer, that might be a very easy truth to find, to identify, and the battle is facing it. But if you're talking about what's actually going on that keeps causing this fight between me and such, like that can be a more obscure target to try to find. They are very frustrating.
Yeah, matters of the mind are clearly more messy than matters of the body.
Yeah, and finding the truth about why your paintings keep coming out weird looking can be equally frustrating. So facing the truth is like, okay, I just got called out for doing a whole bunch of things that don't look good in my painting and it hurts. Now I need to face it. But even getting to that point, getting good answers is a hard thing. So yeah, I mean, I think both are definitely true.
Well, it's tricky because we're so hungry to have other people validate our concerns, to validate our perspectives. You know, that's very human. Like nobody, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I don't think anybody really likes to be the only person screaming from a mountaintop, hey, there's this thing that I see. Nobody else sees it. Well, just believe me, you know? People like to say, oh, I see it too. Oh, I feel it too. I understand.
We want others to say that.
And so,
yeah,
we want that validation. It's not a comfortable feeling to just go out
there and have nobody relate to you. Yeah. And somebody's like, oh, I think that's just you, bro.
You're ever measuring your subjective experience to others and trying to find out, do these align or am I crazy? You know?
Yeah.
Is my being crazy, or do you experience this too? You know, and it's kind of that's why a lot of people paint. It's why we tell stories. It's why we hang out and sip coffee, is because we're like, whoa, man, that got weird for me in my life and all that, you know?
Yeah. We're trying not to.
How about you? You get any of this? Does any of this check out? You know?
Yeah.
Does this look like an Aurora Borealis to you, or am I nuts?
Or am I crazy? Yeah. So and you're like, man, someone came and told me that this looks way off, but I feel like it looks good. And then, you need a second opinion.
Yeah, sure. You know, my kids, they tell me that I'm full of it. My wife tells me that I'm whatever, you know, like you're like, is what I'm thinking and feeling way off here? Like, does anybody?
Everybody can relate to that. Am I off base here? Second opinions are such a valuable thing, aren't they?
Well, you know, gaslighting and fraud and things are such the order of the day. And
boy, I'm telling you,
blah blah. It's just like now more than ever, stuff's just so.
Hey, how did gaslighting
unreliable?
How did that become a word? Gaslighting. What is the history of the word gaslighting? I'm curious about that.
Oh, hey, there's a fun Googler.
Yeah. Why is it called gaslighting? Gaslighting is like, is it public shaming? Is that
before we rush to the answer? The joy is in the anticipation. All right, guys, don't look it up. Yes. Why do we think it's called gaslighting?
Yeah, and you know what else? I think guessing makes you remember the real answer better. When you correct a guess, this is the way it works with drawing. When I draw something from memory, then correct it, the correction sticks in memory, but immediately going to the right answer does not stick in memory as well. Anyway, why is it called gaslight? It's when you make someone feel crazy, right? It's when you purposely isolate someone like it's all in your head.
Yeah, it's when you call into question someone else's reality to attempt to destabilize their understanding of a situation.
Okay, in practical terms, what's that look like?
In practical terms, it would look like this. It would say, Joe, this painting is looking super, super red. I don't know why you've gone to such great lengths to make it so red.
Yeah. Right.
Why are you putting all this red all over the place?
Why are you putting red all over your painting? Yeah.
You would be like,
I'm like,
hey,
what?
Man, I don't see red. This is blue. I'm like, no, seriously. There's like red everywhere. Yeah. All I see is red. Right.
Trying to make a person insane, really.
Exactly. You know? Someone will question their sanity if they're really prone to being gaslit.
Yeah, and then in the greater number of people involved in that, the more powerful the effect, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, what a terrible thing.
Because there's this human tendency to like, there's a thing. Okay, so here's the thing that separate like that qualifies species, whether they do or do not do this thing, right? There's like, they use tools, right? If they do, then they're like in this category. If they don't, they're in that category. One of these things is, do they look in the same direction as one? If one of a flock looks in a direction, do the other look in that direction to say, hey, what are they looking at? Or do they just say, we're moving around and being irrelevant and weird, who cares? You know, like a bunch of cells in a petri dish, they don't care whether one is moving to the left more so than the right, and everybody moves to the left. Humans,
Mhm.
if you look at the horizon and go, ooh, I promise you, every human's going to look in that direction and go, huh?
Yeah. We care.
You know what I mean?
We're caring creatures.
Yeah. So we really want people to see it the way we
Yeah.
see it and say it's there. Yep. I
Yeah.
confirm there. You know, it's just our nature. You know, we kind of need
Mhm.
it, because imagine if you look and you say, oh, what's that over there? And everybody else is looking right
Nothing.
back at you and not where you're looking. You're going to
Mhm.
say, I have psychopathic tendencies. I am visualizing things that
I'm
are not
crazy.
there for everyone else.
It's happened. It's finally
This
happened.
is upsetting. This is upsetting. You know?
Yeah. All right.
So anyways, gaslighting. Who knows? Jules says maybe it's based on a short story. A woman noticed gas lights flickering.
Is that an Alfred Hitchcock film, Gaslight?
I think this may be the correct answer. It seems so well thought out here. Jules says a woman noticed gas lights flickering, and her husband was like, "Oh, there's no flickering. There's no," but he was the one doing it.
Yeah.
So
Intentionally driving. It seems like I remember an old film, like, and maybe it's an Alfred Hitchcock or a Twilight Zone or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
1944 Ingrid Bergman movie is what.
Oh, okay. Not Alfred Hitchcock. Okay.
Gaslight was a 1944 Ingrid Bergman movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
That's it.
Maybe.
Well, we learned.
Identifying truth is a big deal. Identifying truth is a big deal. But
it's not for everybody. I don't think it is for everybody.
It's not. All right. Hold on. Let me
finish your thought. Go ahead. Did I hijack you?
Approach this. Identifying truth is a big deal, but truth does not exist independently from subjective reality. They're infinitely intertwined. All right. So it is true that there is blue particles in your paint. It is true. Can you identify those blue particles apart from the white glue that holds it all together? Not really. It's just blue.
Yeah.
So identifying the blue particles, yeah, it's in there, but like seeing the blue particles and not the white glue, that's the issue with saying it's entirely objectively true and not subjectively questionable. Because the two exist together always. The way you see a thing is going to be the way that you see it. And it's also going to be a collection of the way everyone sees it and gives testimony to. The way everyone sees it, objectively true. The way you see it, subjectively true. So can we just say it's true? Yeah, but it's going to be omitting the great diversity of ways in which it is seen. And so very difficult to identify what is black, what is white. I don't know that it's possible, is the concern, but it is noble and virtuous to attempt to find an objective truth because it's useful, it's helpful, you know?
Yeah, it's helpful. Reliability is helpful. You know, I think bringing it to practice, it's annoying when people claim to know truth and you're not seeing anything that you're okay. Like somebody says, here's the way things are. That's kind of annoying. If they're not like your model that you're trying to reach.
It is annoying because it discounts your perspective. When someone tells you the way it is, it's saying the way you see it. If it's any different, doesn't matter. Doesn't count.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's not good. So I kind of like don't coming across. I don't like being the person that claims things. Remember on last week's live stream, I was like, nobody ever talks about this is the way sunsets are, and you're like, wait a minute. A minute ago, we were just talking about how things are in the eye of the beholder or whatever. You know, I don't know. It was kind of a funny moment where it was like we're switching gears and becoming the authority on what is and isn't. So I think helpfulness is kind of the trump card. You know, it's like that's where the rubber meets the road.
to get back to our earlier conversation, say you're having a garbage morning, say you've got a conflict with somebody, it's probably, like I said, there's some insecurities getting poked around. You're just trying to figure out what's true. Is it true that I'm mean, that I'm inconsiderate, that I'm selfish? Is that true? You don't want to deal with these feelings.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to find out this objective truth, but like subjectively, you don't think it's true, but objectively, the people in the room seem to think it's true.
Yeah.
So like it matters to understand it's really dicey to just believe that something is objectively true for everyone, because it's gonna mess with your relationships. It's gonna mess with how you see yourself. It's gonna mess with your ability to change.
What if you believed it's objectively true, but you understood the importance of not behaving as though it's, you know what I mean? What if we could compartmentalize and say, well, I believe that it's like this for absolutely everyone, and it is absolutely true, but that's just a belief. But I do understand that that's just my belief. What if you could kind of compartmentalize like that? It seems like that'd be a good route.
Sure, yeah. And well, belief is not to be put in the just category, I would say, because if you believe something, well, now you've catapulted the gravity of that thing beyond truth.
Yeah.
You are now in a relationship of belief with this bit. You are not in a relationship of, is it true or not? You're like, this is I will grip this close to my heart until the day I die, kind of a relationship, So that's a thing apart from truth, I would say. Your tendency to believe, and to your point, it's okay to just believe stuff,
Yeah. And I don't think it's like a crime. So I think culture right now maybe steers away from saying that anything is true on the basis of what you were just talking about, because it's like it's just not justified and fair. But I'm arguing, well, I think it is fair. I think it is fair to call things true and false, but we need a civil way to manage the differences. It's like, you call it that, but there's a way to respect that others don't see that absolute that you do. But I don't think it should take, I guess my point is, I don't think it should take away the right to see absolutes. I think it just maybe should adjust the way you communicate with people, because respect goes a long way. We need respect.
It's helpful to remember your kind of if-then principle, regardless, who cares what's objectively true or subjectively true, right? Because in the end, that information doesn't matter. What matters is that how you're making people feel.
That's going to go further.
And if you do X, Y happens, that's arguably more valuable to consider.
If you do,
because you're not going to convince anybody that your perspective on a thing is more important than theirs. That's not going to happen. If you're married, it's not going to happen. So I think you need to leave room for the squishiness, of like, well, okay, maybe I feel really, really confident about this, but like,
I like that word.
But I'm just my perspective,
Yeah.
And then you can like let go of the pride and ego and everything. It's like, oh, what are they?
Which is hard.
And the negative assumptions, It's like, well, maybe it's just squishy. Maybe up inside their brain and in their life, it's completely reasonable what's going on. It's just,
that's right. It always is. With people, it always is completely reasonable. We don't by habit favor the absence of reason. Like we don't just walk around looking for nonsense.
People are trying to live unreasonable, unjustified.
Yeah, it's like, this is the problem. I think when we get into real heated
chaos, they're not true.
Yeah, when you get into heated battles about which side of a political issue is right, I think this is where things get so destructive, is categorizing a whole group of people as the irrational ones. But people, the behavior of people is based on rationale. We all are trying to find, or we're all using rationale. I don't think that the side of politics that doesn't favor my views is irrational and trying to destroy society. I don't believe that. I believe they're trying to fix it, and like we have that in common. Hey, we all want to make things better. Maybe there's a way to meet in the middle, because maybe that's our best option, is meeting in the middle. Maybe we shouldn't treat each other like enemies. Maybe we should just treat each other like opponents and try to add dignity to the process of disagreeing.
Yeah, there's a few really interesting things here people are saying. Jules says the authentic will help you identify the counterfeit, like going out into nature to see how sunlight actually works instead of relying on memory or AI, they say. But,
ooh, wow, that's a good, I like that. That's very good.
The authentic as an antidote to the counterfeit. I do love that.
I've heard
that's like reality as an antidote to your imagination. It kind of works in that same way. Authenticity as opposed to words.
So I haven't thought about that. There's someone had said, I had heard someone say, how they asked the question to someone who was a banker, how can you tell the counterfeit? What's your trick for knowing, or how can you be very skilled in not getting counterfeits? They say, because you're handling the real thing so much that you instantly feel when something's different.
Yeah, and maybe that's the best we've got. Here we are squabbling over what is objectively true, and this is great. JS267 on that note says, it's like 5 blind guys independently feeling the tail or legs or body or trunk of an elephant and trying to describe what an elephant is.
It has a huge wiener. It's huge. And it's on its face. Oh, man. Oh, that was juvenile. Super juvenile.
JS, I do feel like a blind guy feeling an elephant most of my life. That's absolutely
true. Yeah, me too. I feel that for sure. That's a good analogy. I like that. I have heard that before, but it's it never fails to be a good one. That's a good picture.
Yeah, Mavis adds, I don't think anybody sees the objective truth or absolute truth. I think everybody has a different perspective, sees a relative truth related to the topic.
However, it's hard to say that absolutely. It is relative.
I absolutely am sure that nobody sees absolute truth.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. Boy.
Tommy says, it literally comes down to the most basic treat others. Oh, to the most basic. Treat others as you would want to be treated yourself. So if they think they see blue, you should believe they see blue and not tell them, no, you didn't. Hey, that's Tommy. Listen, man, I heard a fascinating
no, you didn't
podcast about no, you didn't see blue. I heard a fascinating podcast about being of use to people that are dying of Alzheimer's, dementia.
Boy, that's tough.
Grip on reality is slipping. Okay, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Our
grip. I don't feel qualified.
Reality. Our grip on reality. No, we're just talking about the way we experience life. Okay? So when you're dying from Alzheimer's, dementia, the way you are experiencing life is going to be it's going to change quickly, and it's going to seem very different than everyone around you. And people get really upset and mad and confused when they are having dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's frustrating experience.
It's really hard that everyone around you suddenly says you are stupid, you don't know what's going on, and they seem to be gaslighting you. It is incredibly frustrating, I understand. So the recommended course of action from professionals, doctors that handle these sorts of things, and I love this.
Huh? What is it?
Which Leanne beat me to the punch. Never argue with a dementia patient. You know,
Ah,
just
okay.
let them live in their world. If they say, check out these monkeys, you say, oh, hey, what's up, monkeys? How are we doing this afternoon? You know, if they're like, you know, oh, there's a spider crawling across your forehead. Well, brush the spider off your forehead and say, oh, that's
Did
funny.
I get it?
You know? Yeah, did I get it? Exactly. Because number one, you don't upset them and cause them to feel stupid and sick,
Right,
slipping away from reality. And on the other hand, you preserve your relationship with them, and it doesn't end in conflict and fighting and all of that. In fact, you just get to play with them. You know.
Yeah, it's a good concept. That's a good concept. I wonder how much people are treating me that way right now.
Yeah. So you know the concept of someone blowing your hand up your skirt, you know?
Yeah. Am I really an artist? Am I? Could my mother have been wrong?
A lot of people feel really bad for you because you're kind of
Wait a minute. I'm rethinking what's real. I'm rethinking what's true here. Yeah. Okay.
So to make it relevant here, guys. Now that we've gone all the way around the block and back, and the coffee is sinking in, and my bad morning goes screw itself, because here we are off to a better brunchy kind of a time of day.
Yeah,
it is okay to let go of your need to identify some absolute truth in the interest of connecting with people, helping people.
Ben's final thought. And
revealing a bigger truth than the absolute you're keeping an eye on. The bigger truth is we need each other, you know, and it feels good to love each other. It feels horrible to destroy each other. Yeah, it's not a final thought. It's, you know what it is, Joe? Anybody that knows me knows it's hard to turn this off. Okay,
it's hard. The wheels keep spinning. You got momentum.
Hard. Yeah. I don't necessarily like it. I didn't choose it, and I'm trying to figure out what to do about it. It's hard to turn off. So what do I do? I don't try and turn it off. I just try and figure out what use can it be. So summarizing thought. Absolute truth is less important than our relationships with each other, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Because the truth is too unidentifiable. Our relationships are right on the surface, and they matter a lot. You know.
Yeah. I'm darkening this sky so that the light can be seen. That's what I'm doing right now.
Hey, some people were talking about your painting while we were talking about anything, but that's cool. Let's acknowledge them. So,
we're darkening things. That's what I've been working on, is darkening what's already there in order to really have the lights pop out, you know. And so I want to.
Leanne likes how you put the reflection of the splash on the surface of the water. You see it in the tops of the waves.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, that's my purple. That's this purple reflection color here that I
Mavis really likes the way the splashes are shooting out from the chunk of the iceberg, splashing into the water.
Nice.
So you got like a big block of ice that fell off that cliff and hit that ocean edge and went whoosh.
That's the idea. I'm trying to get the feeling of magnitude in there by shrinking the shapes down a little more. You know, if you use big brush strokes and simple shapes, it can feel like you're zoomed in on a small scale. But if you really shrink your brush stroke size, then you can. So some of these big blocky shapes, it kind of looks like a whitewater rapid scale, not like a giant house-sized explosion of water. So that's something to work on. I love this technique. Kind of gets in the way. This technique of dabbing the point kind of works against me a lot of the time. It's just my default mode.
And
Anyway.
JS267 says everything's fine, Joe. You're doing great. Beautiful sea lines, by the way.
Oh, I know what you're doing.
Beautiful.
I'm not crazy.
Beautiful.
You're trying to talk to me like I'm
beautiful sea lines.
Oh man.
And Mavis wants to see the top of the canvas, Joe. What's the top of the canvas look like?
Oh, it's just barely off the screen there. Let's move up because we're gonna work on.
It's because you didn't
bad.
paint it, Mavis. That's why he's trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Paint it yet.
Oh, that was my bad. I thought it was a lot more on there. I haven't touched it yet. So I'm going to start shaping these northern lights. I'm going to start shaping these. So I want like a ribbon shape that is stretched vertically up into the sky. So I'm going to make the bottom edge of it going back like this, you know. And then I'm going to start pulling those shapes up. I think pre-mixing is the way. When you have complex blends like this, pre-mixing is the way to go. Layering is cool too, but if I layer without waiting a lot in between, then I do run into some problems with like the pull off texture and stuff that I don't want in
you get
there.
A more
so
Van Gogh-y kind of a sky than a wet on wet kind of a sky.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Right.
you know, this is not simple. This is a multicolored gradient that has specific shape and direction. You know, I can see why people view this as a difficult thing. It is indeed difficult. So, I'm going to go to my primary. I'm going to see if I can do this with primary still, but you know, that's kind of biting off a lot of difficulty. Red and orange. I want some red in the boy, we're pulling out all the colors today. I want some red in the high altitude.
This is some meat and potatoes here, guys. All right. We were pie in the sky for a bit this morning. Thanks for enduring. Now we're at meat and potatoes. You want to paint something, it's hard to paint. What do? First step.
What do you do? Yeah. Think through the process. Think through the workflow. You know, I need a plan. That's what I'm going to do, is make a plan. Yeah. Okay. But sometimes the plan emerges out of just getting going. So like I know where colors need to go, and that's a really tough step. So if you can get that step down, just knowing where the colors need to ultimately end up, then sometimes just stirring the paint around can make your techniques you're going to use emerge. Just by getting the ball rolling, get the bike rolling so you can balance it on the way, you know. So I'm going to do this.
The way the universe works, doesn't it?
That seems to be it. So we got these brightest areas at the bottom right here. And, you know, I don't think I need to slave over super smooth blending as long as all of my, so I'm going to do a lot of overlapping. This is my plan. Do a lot of overlapping, but I know how I made the colors, so I'll be able to come back and make it look blended by overlapping same colors. So here, this is wet enough. I can blend it with my sky, my pre-mixed sky color. So here I get a softer blend with some wet on wet, like that. Okay, that area is blended now. And I can do another little area. So here I've got, you know, some colors coming down. I think I might, what are we going to do there? Let's do a little bit more. Let's put the bright green kind of going side by side. This one, another ribbon. I'm going to call them ribbons. Northern light ribbon. And go here and blend these colors upward. And then I'm going to get my dark sky color that I've got pre-mixed. Pre-mixes are, I think, super handy. But what you have pre-mixed, you know, it's not possible to pre-mix every color in a painting if you're blending things. It's millions. That would be millions. So you have to choose what is most helpful to pre-mix. So being able to come back to my sky color over and over, I think in this one is very helpful. All right, I'm blending the top side of my gradient.
Frankie Noodles has a trick where they say the best luck they have with ribbon lights is definitely using multiple transparent layers to build up that variation. Long process and a little stressful, always having to pull up perfect straight strokes.
Yeah. Well, multiple transparent layers, I think, is a good method. There's things good about it, but here's the problem that I run into. I don't like the way. Well, yeah, if you go slow, I think it works well, but also layers create an absence of color when they thin out, and I need lots of color where the light dims in order to look like light. So a lot of times your light looks like fog when you use that approach. It can happen. I'm not saying it does happen automatically. It's one of the challenges of that method is that it can end up making light look like fog if you don't really work at adding color to those thin spots. All right, let's see if we can get this bend in the light. We got a ribbon bending right here, and we're going to do green and then white. So knowing what you're going to do.
Kara Greenleaf says they've sent some emails of their attempts to paint hyperrealism.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully you have sent that to share@muraljoe.com.
I already know because I saw it in the email. I'll pull it up.
Great. And if you would like for Joe to have a look-see at your stuff, send it to share@muraljoe.com.
That's it. I'd love to see it. Okay. I feel like I'm getting somewhere with this. Okay, here's my brightest, lowest part. Right there. Man, I'm telling you, this process. Okay, lowest part going along the lowest part of the ribbon. Okay, now I'm just going to pull it upward like that. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, now we'll just get rid of this part with my sky color. That's pre-mixed, ready to go. Blend it into this. Edges, finishing a painting is all about those edges.
Yeah, Court Lau loves Q. Says they load their brush with colors and do one stroke up after.
Yeah, there's probably some shortcut that works really good for this. Probably some shortcut, but I'm someone that likes to control every shape.
Yeah. We are doing long cuts. We are taking the long cut.
We're taking the long. Well, I don't know. It's it's the end result. The end result is what matters. I'm seeing if I can get a more blended, better coloring, by just manually mixing them all. Okay, we're going to come down. Now we're going to work on this gradient. I'm just going to work on this edge. This is the bright part down low. It's going to get darker as it goes up. So I'll get this phthalo green. I think I'm being a little bit scaredy cat with the color too, with the paint. You got to load it on there if you want to get gradients. When it gets to details, I think something that stands in the way is that tendency to use tiny bits of paint. I see it all the time. I do it all the time. And then I realize I can do tiny details with heavy paint. I'm just scared to because I think it's going to come out wrong. Okay, now we're going to go darker orange and red up here. All right, let's get that color in. Getting the right darkness is important. I can't have my red be lighter than the green. Can't have that. That's not going to look right. So I got to make sure that this is because I was seeing in all of the pictures, I've never seen them in person, but in all the pictures, the northern lights lose intensity as you rise in altitude, lose brightness. And so the red is getting darker while it's getting redder. So I'm trying to capture that.
You know, Courtney says that painting has been so wonderful for letting go of control, but also my love of attention to detail. So I find that interesting, Courtney, because on the one hand, you're saying that painting has been wonderful for letting go of control. So it seems to help you let go of control, but also, in your same sentence, your love of attention to details. Details take a great amount of control to execute. So interesting space you're in there, vacillating between.
But wait a minute. Is yeah, they do. But wait, is Courtney saying it helps let go of the control of details, right? Helps
It's
let go.
unclear. I think we'll get some clarification in a second here.
I
Courtney, what are you saying? Are you letting go of your attention to detail, or are you encouraging your attention to detail?
yeah, you know what I'm hearing in that comment is letting go of the need to control that natural tendency, attention to
Yeah.
detail, letting go of that need to control it.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. So
Let's just go with that. Let's go with that.
There's
Yep,
multiple challenges. You know, here's a good reason to go with the layering approach on this is the complexity, all the different things that happen when mixing paints, trying to think about restoring color where it's lost when one color meets another color. So I had to come in with orange to replenish the color in this gradient. And all this stuff can be done. If I was with oils, it'd be no problem if I was using oils. But with light, you know, you don't lose brightness when two lights come together, you know. But with two different colors of paint, you lose brightness and you lose color a lot of the time, or you get a wrong color because it's shifting toward green. So I have to restore that midtone while I'm thinking about the change of color blending with the sky and all that. I do find that to be difficult. If anybody wondered if this is difficult for me to do, I want to assure you that I do find this difficult, but I like the challenge. You know, this is the difference between me and many others, is that this was my idea of a good time for most of my life, was wrestling with these things. And I'll watch other kids, you know, I'll remember when I was that age, when I'm watching kids do it, and I see the frustration happen so quick. And that's what I realized was different, was that for me, when it didn't look right, it was just unfinished. That's all it ever was. And so I maintained that enjoyment and the energy of working on the skills through all of the not looking right, just because the process still felt good, even though things looked weird. I always was just very curious about, I never felt like it couldn't be changed. It was just a matter of how, you know, for whatever reason. All right, we're putting the bright low. I'm adding a little bit of yellow. I didn't do that the first time around, but I think the yellow is going to make this picture better.
So Frank is loving the way you won't shy away from tackling new things live on camera. It's such a benefit.
All right, good. Yeah, because if it's a win-win, if I fail, I think there's value in that. And if I win, then my ego feels great, you know? It's the truth.
Yeah, that's a very gracious way to look at it. If I fail, it's because it was very hard. If I win, I feel amazing.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, we all like to win, especially when people are watching, you know?
Yeah. 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 Well, you know, that is the interesting thing. Court says you are describing how we find and connect to our calling.
Yeah. Totally. All right, I think we're getting somewhere. I think my gradients are starting to get somewhere. I'm not feeling terrible about them. All right, we got that. Let's start doing some blending up high. We won't stay on this for the whole morning, but
also, if you want Joe to look at your stuff, I'll remind you. It's share@muraljoe.com. Share@muraljoe.com is the email address. And put a little note in there about why you're sharing.
Yeah, that's nice if you do that. That is nice. I appreciate that, because I don't like to give critiques that are not asked for. For me, the purpose of art is not to have a good end product. That is a chosen purpose from the artist, depending on the project. Some projects are for the purpose of having a good end product, but it's the artist's choice. So I'm not going to assume it and start offering a bunch of criticism. I hate doing that. So if you tell me you're looking for that, I love trying my best to be helpful. Love doing that. So yeah, just like Ben said, do me a favor. Let me know why you're sending it. Just say it's to share. Just want to share. I love that. Love sharing. Okay, I'm adding color. See that boost of red color at the top? That's so that I can put sky color in there and not have the color drop. That's what makes a glow look like a glow, is that there's not a color drop where it darkens. That's how we get the, just a tip when you're trying to make a glow. And this is so reliable. If you look at pictures where you're disappointed with your glow effect, that's what you want to look for. Look for the color drop where the glow fades out and darkens. So I put a primary color on. I lighten it, right? So we're at the high altitude, northern lights, for whatever phenomenal reason. We have the red color up higher in the sky. Nice, bright red. I'm going to put sky gradient in there. I'm going to put sky color blending into, I'm going to put it on my reddest area. See that reddest area? That's where I'm going to put that. And that is what's going to make sure that my red glow looks like a glow, is that it doesn't lose color when it's getting darker. Okay, we can blend the rest of those in later. Got some closer lights right there. I'm going to rinse the brush. Yeah, time to look at some work, I think. What do you say?
Yeah, we can look at some work. And while we're going to make that switch, let's think about this. In the interest of watching Joe attempt to sort this out live on camera, just for you, with his pants down, vulnerable, and, exposed.
Not that bad.
I mean, the expression caught me with my pants.
I gotcha. Yeah.
I am curious about this concept. When you're trying to learn something, is it more helpful to watch someone who's nailing it, or is it more helpful to watch someone struggling through it?
Wrestling. I think the wrestling. My opinion is no. I'm not. You know what? I jumped the gun. I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
It's
arguable.
Curious.
It's arguable because people are going to have different takes on that, I think.
Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is we as people that value learning, like maybe most people in this room are, is it good for us to wear our processes and our failures on our sleeve and in not just in paint, but in life? I got nieces and nephews that said some really moving things to me over my birthday, like about
nice. Hey, happy birthday. Your birthday was just a couple days ago. I forgot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, these kids made me cry. They were saying such things of such gravity, about our.
Wow, I'm glad somebody did. Nice. I missed it. That's why.
So it got me thinking, is it more helpful for me to like get my stuff together and then be an example of like when you got your stuff together, it goes like this. You know, is it more helpful there, or is it more helpful to be like, gosh, I'm screwing this up. I don't know which way to go. I'm lost. I'm emotional, and I need help and practice. And it looks like this: messy, confusing, and just like you. And maybe eventually I'll get it together, but not now. You know?
Yeah.
Which of those is more helpful to a person that's watching you know, that's an
Yeah.
onlooker? Because I seek to be helpful. So I am curious, you know.
Yeah.
And so in the room here, JS says, happy birthday. Thanks, man. Thanks. We're all doing it. Happy birthday to you too, JS, whenever it happens to be. Glad you're alive, man. Frank says the wrestling. Frank values the wrestling. Mavis values both. The showing off and the wrestling. He says we learned so much more from the wrestling. JS says, you know, when you need to know how to do it, someone who is doing it correctly helps. When you need to know how to fix the problems you have run into, someone who is also messing up is helpful. That's insightful.
Room for both. Yeah. Trying to see all the different sides to the coin there. I like that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in the interest of not black and whiting our thing, like we've been doing all morning, you know, like
don't black and white your thing.
It's not better or worse. Yeah. Don't black and white your thing, man.
Boy, that's a t-shirt. Put that on a t-shirt.
Don't black and white your thing.
You had to be there, and then put in parentheses, you had to be there.
Court says problem solving is more valuable than watching an expert do their thing. But again, you know, maybe watching an expert do their thing is cool when you're trying to figure out how is this expertly done. You know, like I moved to LA because I wanted to watch experts be experts. You know? I wanted to be in the room while experts were doing expert things so that I could see this is expertise. You know, that's why I live.
Right. So it really what we're getting to is that people have different purposes when they're setting out to do something. There's some different.
Sure, but yeah, and however, when I've been like in a mess or life happens or whatever, and I'm lost and not confident, scared, et cetera, and I talk to Joe, right, or one of my brothers or family members or whatever, and they say, I see this mess you're in, and I have been in similar messes. Maybe I currently am. Here's what I'm doing, right? That's very valuable. It would not be valuable for me to see someone whose life is just perfect, and they're like, well, here's what perfect looks like if you can get there.
Yeah, and that's what Courtney's talking about. Yeah.
So a time for both. I like that, a time for both. And then Mavis, you know, I agree. And Courtney both say authenticity is the way. It is most helpful to be authentic.
It is the way. It is the way indeed.
The way. Cool. So it's been about an hour and a half. Joe, what do you got in your inbox here? We're curious what you guys.
Let's check it out. Obviously, this painting is not going to go quickly. I did not get a ton of content painted. We darkened the water, increased the contrast, and I got my lights to look more glowy. And, you know, that's progress. That's progress for a painting I want to keep. You know, keep in mind, this is one that I'm striving to keep. So I'm moving slow. Look at me trying to defend my struggling. Okay. After all that conversation, I feel the need.
The uncomfortability is as uncomfortable as it's ever been.
Trying to qualify myself right now. That's what I'm doing.
Hey, Joe, the value was in the struggle. The
value is in the struggle. Here's one from here's some emails we'll get. Let's look at this one from Aaron, and we saw this, and Aaron is saying, how about some highlights on the left hill? I read this earlier, you know, adding highlights in. How do we do that? All right, this beautiful, by the way. Nice job. Love the Love the train.
Ooh, yeah, train's cool. Yellow
Yeah,
train,
yeah. The snow looks like snow for sure. That looks
happy
like a snow.
train.
It's a great job with the snow. The colors of the sunset. It's beautiful. Let's see what the other picture looks like. We got a couple of pictures here. Ah, okay. These are the areas. These are the areas that we want to specifically focus on and see what kind of room for improvement we have. Okay, so as shadows go, they move away from the yellow part of the the yellow, point on the spectrum. Move away from yellow as they get darker in a glow pattern like this. So you did a good job of using this kind of purple color. So I'm gonna, just like I did my dark water, I'm gonna use a color just like, man, you could use a color just like this train shadow. That's really beautifully done to add shadows and shape in here. And then don't be afraid of real dark colors on those pine trees too. The contrast can look nice. So let's do this. Aaron was specifically saying, hey, maybe you could tinker with the colors on the app. Let's go here. And here's how we do it. We hit the download button. Okay, I got it. We open the app. We close that console deal there. Let's reload it. And let's move Ben to the left here. And then let's import that picture. Sorry, this is a local file. Jonathan called me out on this. I keep using this local version that no one has access to. I apologize. This is just on my computer, but I will, in the near future, upload this for everyone to use. Okay, just want you to know that I'm going to do that. It's on the to-do list. I'm working on getting the bugs out. Okay, we're going to put not Jonathan, Aaron's picture right there. And let's start putting some highlights. Highlights could be any color. All we need to do to get a good highlight is go to the color that we want to highlight, use that color, shows me what it is there. Let's open it up again. Let's move Ben over here. And there's, boy, it's tricky. It's tricky having this window. Let's make it smaller. Tricky thing. Okay. Now, we take that color and we make it brighter. So I'm going to grab this color. We're going to make it brighter by moving it up. We're going to make it yellower by moving it to the right. Brighter and yellower. That's the trick here. And we're going to take away gray, less gray. Let's go like that. So now we have a highlight, but it's not an extreme highlight. It's just something brighter because we're just following that pattern in order to create that color. So now I go in here, and this is a touch screen. So I'm just going to put little highlights in here, put some there where I already have that color. Maybe there's a high spot somewhere here, just little dots of it. And maybe we have a little bit coming down on this rock. Maybe this rock kind of catches the light. We have some bright little segments of that. So anywhere the highlights and shadows you put change the shape. I think sometimes we hurt our brains trying to think about where the highlights should go when it's the highlights are simply going to create the shape. They don't need to go in the right spot. The right spot gets created by where you put them. You see, what we need is a believable color, a color that makes sense. And then those highlights actually fit in there. So this one, this looks like a hard shadow. So maybe here I don't use unblended edges. Maybe here I can kind of blend these out. Let's do it. Let's go like this. This is my smudger tool zoomed way in, but when I soften those, it'll look like natural light because I took that purple color, very nicely chosen color that Aaron selected. And they're not highlights like this over here, but that over there would be going like all the way to my furthest extreme. If I swatch this color, then it's going to be just like that one I selected. See? So here we went a
So
lot more toward
Mavis is
yellow.
pointing out here that they appreciate when you explain a point using this color app program. It makes really nice painting even better, and we can see it visually, which is
Okay, cool. Oh, I'm glad. Okay, I'm going to brighten that even more. And when I brighten it, I lose saturation. So see this gray slider. No need to have that. But what that looks like with paint is a different process. But this is just mentally understanding the destination color. So we're doing. So I brightened the color once again, all the way from this. I'm brightening it as much as I can go. Now, it gets to the point of cheating a bit because there is no white this bright probably. This photo is showing us what pure white looks like on the canvas. So if I go lighter than a pure white, that's not reproducible in reality. So I'm trying to, be sensitive to that. But once again, we can take those bright colors and we can put highlights wherever. I'm just scribbling them in wherever they'll show up. It doesn't matter too much where I put them. They're going to create shape just by existing. So I'm going to blend. Now that's that smudger tool that I changed on the right. I'm just hitting it a couple times to make these look like something more painterly. There we go. And now I've added highlights there. So now let's go the opposite way with the shadow color. Now, Aaron, you did a great job with this blue. So let's just use that. But I think there's room to exaggerate this and make it a little bit bluer. I think there's room for that and add a little bit of magic to the picture. So this on my digital app is showing that that's in fact a very dark gray purple. So let's go like this. Bluer right there. And let's go not quite as gray. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. To me, this looks very similar to maybe like if you put that color band French ultramarine, you were like, what's French ultramarine? Very common pigment used. It's a blue that doesn't turn turquoise. If you're looking for a blue that doesn't turn to turquoise when you lighten it with white, it's nice for doing lighting effects because when you get that lighter turquoise effect, it looks like an underwater translucent effect, not like a surface reflection kind of effect. Okay, so you can be real bold with this because maybe the light is coming across and striking these trees in the foreground, but it is missing this backside of this hill. So if that's the case, then I'm just going to fill this in everywhere I want that shadow to be. Let's just fill it in like that. And I think strategically, this is a good move because you're getting I just saw an arrow pointed at this section. So I'm addressing this section. So forgive me if this is not what you were thinking or not your vision, but it's something that can be done. Look how it just pops out the shapes that are catching the sunlight there on the right. I think that's really nice, but we need the blending. Let's get the blender effect going and let's see if this doesn't turn too greenish. That's good. So we're in the purple, so we're safe from green. But if it did happen, I'd need to add a mid-tone. But Aaron's already got a beautiful kind of light lavender kind of mid-tone on there. Beautiful for transitioning from this darker, bluer shadow to the highlights there. Blend it so that it looks like a gradual shadow. And let's swatch that color here. Good. So now I just grabbed that intermediate color and I'll just create more hill shapes by bringing it down into here. Like that. It just creates shapes. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit the undo button there. I'm going to get the blender tool again. Blend some of those. Okay, you get the point. I'm just blending these colors, gradually creating a shadow. So the color itself creates the shape. So we choose colors that are believable, that are convincing, because when they're convincing, they're going to convince the viewer that the shapes exist. Let me see. Let me examine the other arrows. We got the arrows. Okay, yeah. So we put some highlights, we put some shapes. So I think that sums it up for this one. So hopefully I covered all those things. Here's something I would add to this too, though. Here's something I would add to this picture. These pine trees, well, you did a great job. I think those are really, really beautifully done. I was just going to say that with pine trees, you can take that real dark color that's in there, or here's a workflow that's good for pine trees. You might find this helpful, you might not. Okay, don't feel obligated to use it. But I'm going to take this color, I'm going to make snow across this pine tree. This is shadow snow, right? Because we pulled it from the shadow colors in the painting. All right, we're going to go like this. Shadow colors all across the middle of this pine tree, wherever we can imagine. Because the sun is kind of behind it. So I'm just putting the shadow colored snow. Now I want the dark contrast that you have a great color for it. You know, this dark color is very good. So let me get a smaller size here. And we're going to scribble in some of these. And I'll do this with paint too. I'll dab this in with the brush. I'll take my dark pine needles and dab it into those spots right there. And then I'll come back with my whiter color, lighter and whiter, to add highlights on top of those. But you've already got them coming from behind, so you don't really need them. But I just wanted to show this kind of cool workflow for doing pine trees covered with snow in shadow. See how that shadowed snow has this real nice contrast with the illuminated snow on the edges. It becomes more 3D now if I grab the other color here. Ben left the meeting. He's gone.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I just got a notification that you did.
I mean, I'm in and out, man. I'm keeping it.
Okay. He's still here. Okay, now I can make these snowy areas of the pine tree pop out at me with that highlight color. And that's just the next brighter color. It's not a super bright highlight. So highlights can be very subtle. They can just be slightly lighter, because you know the pattern that you follow when brightening. It's not this color or that color. It's what you do to brighten, what you do to darken, and it lets you go to everything in between on your highlights and shadows. Now I'm just blending those highlights a little bit. And what these do, when I zoom out, what these do is make those snow areas look more 3D, so that the shadow, it's two things telling the same story. The shadow says it's going deeper. I just lost the screen there. Hang on a second. Who knows what happened there? Might have to work on that bug. Okay. There we go. Okay, we've got tiny little highlights, and it makes that snow jump out. So you get two things telling the same story, like I always talk about, where the shadow of the snow says it's going deeper, and then the black green tree also says it's going deeper, and then you have this powerful effect to add shadows to your trees. So that's something you can consider putting in there if it applies. You can take your shadow color also and add it directly on the back side of these rocks. That might be a nice look, adding some of this. You know, all I did was I kind of increased the amount of that blue violet. You know, your shadow colors are good. These are good. There's not a right color to land on. What I did was I exaggerated the effect. You can choose how much exaggeration is appropriate for your picture. Beautiful work. Okay, Aaron did specifically ask for a final critique. So I want to offer this little bit of advice as well. We have a yellow object. Yellow, when it's in a shadow, goes to a more brown color. However, we are in a blue environment that's going to turn it more gray. So blue light combined with yellow light makes a very gray color. So I'm going to suggest that you just block this in with a gray, just based on some color math. Okay, so watch here. We're going to use that. We're going to identify that color. We've got a dark yellow. It starts turning brown when it's darker, right? And so then if we add blue, literally what's happening when I drag this slider over is it's adding blue. It's adding the blue LCD to the pixels to get this grayer color. So yellow light plus blue light turns gray. I'm going to make it more gray. We'll keep some yellow in it, and I'm going to darken it like this, get some contrast. I'm going to use that color across the side of this train to make it look like it's reflecting some of that evening blue light. So let's see if the plan works. Make sure my brush size is appropriate. We're going to go in here. We'll put it here. We're going to put it all across here, right here. Let's put it across the windows, right there. Let's put it here, and we're just going to bring it to a hard stop when it hits the arch at the top of that train car. Okay, we're going to go here and just go like this, right across. And it's just going to be a reflection, right? It's just a line, like maybe it's reflecting some gold sky at that point. Okay, now I'm going to take this shadow and we're going to make that darker still. Let's go like this. Darker still. Same idea. We got your shadow, very nice shadow between the train cars. I'm going to take this one. This is my adjusted shadow color because the light is coming from behind. This is something that can be done, to make your train have lots of contrast. It kind of looks like you've got a gray train car among the yellow train. But if I did it to every car, if I did it to all of them, we'd have a different look. That's kind of funny. I think it needs to be more purple. My color looks a little bit greenish. Let's adjust. Let's go like this. We need, whenever we get green and we want it to look more like light, we just move it more purple. So toward the purple just means let's get a red, more of a red color. We're going toward purple. Okay, that's too much. That was too much. Let's try this one. Okay, see what that one looks like. Let's go a little bit less. Right there. Let's go a little more gray. I don't know. You decide. You decide which one of these is better. But we can make the look of the blue environment reflecting off of a yellow object by just kind of going through it mathematically, like just calculating these colors. It's an effect you can put in there, but if I don't make it look better, I wouldn't blame you for saying, I'll pass. Let's do this real quick. Put some of those colors in there. Go like this, put some of that in that one. And my choices might be too extreme. Maybe I went too far on the gray. So let's stop it there. We'll zoom out. You can see what I'm talking about. You can choose how much to do that effect. If I don't do it to everything, it's going to look weird because it's out of context. So it's kind of all or nothing. So you could add that in, but your train does look good, and I would hate to be the reason that we made it look less good. So it's an idea. All right, I'll stop there. That's one of those moments where it's like, did I really do that well? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think you did a pretty good job there, Joe. That seems to be
Are you gaslighting
clear
me?
explanation.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
let's look at another. Let's look at another one. Aaron's not the only one doing great work out there. Tyler's got a cool one. Let's check out Tyler.
Yeah, Kara had some work she wanted you to have a look at.
Oh, Tyler didn't have where he's just responding to an email. My bad. Mural and hey guys, painted this a few years ago, says Mitch, in Wyoming. And Dubois is, do you say Dubois? Is that Dubois? Wyoming.
Dubois.
We did it all with aerosol spray paint cans, so we were limited with our color options. I'd love to get some ideas on how we could have added more depth, especially within the green areas. I really struggle with greens. Okay, let's check it out. Man, all with aerosol cans, beautiful. Well, the answer to greens is black and yellow. Very simple answer, just use black and yellow. Intense greens, what they end up doing is overpowering the other colors of the paint. And so with greens, we have the ability to get with paint. The other colors are are out of balance. In nature, the greens are not as intense compared to the other colors as what we end up with in painting. Okay, I think I said that 5 different ways now. Hopefully, that's helpful.
4.5 ways. 4.5 ways.
There you go. Okay, the magic of distance is in how you color the shadows. That's the biggest. That's in a lot of things, but we could instantly change the perception of distance in this by making more of the shadows like this one. See that? Beautifully done shadow. So these really colored shadows, those jump forward, and what you end up with is this kind of cartooned effect of dark outlines going way up high in your picture, and those actually remove depth. So I do see change. You did a great job with gradually moving to background colors, but we just make it more extreme. That's it. That's background in a nutshell, is add atmosphere to the shadows. That's the way to do it. So if I were to adjust this, then it would be so, it'll just take a few seconds. Might as well. Let's download it and put it in there. Here, let's do it. Good job with that picture, Aaron. Let's load another one in there. We're gonna put that recent picture right in here. Let's set it right in the middle. Let's go to these colors and let's lighten these first. Okay, that's a bit dark for something way far away. So all we're gonna do is whoop, make it lighter, and then we're just gonna color those. Let's get a bit smaller brush size. Okay, let's go for the darkest areas. Address those. Little bit goes a long way. I'm just going to get rid of where we have these darkest shadows, and we'll just leave a little pinch of some of them in there, trying to miss the white as good as possible so we can still see the nice effect that's there. But all we're doing is lightening these super distant shadows in comparison to the rest. There's not like an absolute lightness that is the right one. It's always the comparison. That's what we care about. It's funny. It sounds like I'm talking about life again. It's comparisons. They say don't compare.
I was going to say, this it harkens back to our discussions on objective truths.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Is there a
correct amount of light, or is it just the relationship that matters? Gosh, that sounds familiar.
Boy, I could make a T-shirt that says that there's a time and place for comparing. Because you're told not to compare for the sake.
I think we came up with like 5 T-shirt ideas this morning.
Yeah, yeah, totally. You're told not to do it growing up. It's the wisdom that you receive from people older saying, don't compare yourself to others, but it is the comparison that causes us to perceive. So there's an argument to be made.
Yeah, a little bit, but not too much. Not too much.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm feeling pretty fly for a white guy.
For a white guy. The subjective meeting the objective. That's a pretty accurate example. I'm pretty fly for a white guy.
And all the girlies say I'm pretty fly. Oh, Google's gonna. Yeah, totally. That's the song.
Offspring.
Yeah. Okay. If we do that too much, we get busted for copyrights. These algorithms, they'll get you.
Thank you
I'm going
for
to go
saying
more.
I'm such a good singer that I nailed that take.
Yeah, that was nice. That was really nice. We need to go a little darker than that. That's probably a little bit greedy on the lightening effect. Okay, there we go. We're going to lighten those shadows. Let's lighten this shadow. Lighten this one. Notice I made it real purple because this is shadows of a very purple. And we could even go more. We go a little more on the red side. There we go. Because these are shadows of a very red color. So when blue skylight hits otherwise reddish colored rocks, we need some shade of purple for that. But all I'm doing is identifying the places where we have dark shadows, and I'm converting them to a lighter purple color just in the very background, these. So pretty extreme. I might have gone too extreme on these. However, it's going to send that background further away. And the more we get rid of the dark colors that are up high in the picture, the more it allows the dark shadows here to jump forward, be the ones that are in the front. Okay, here's why yellow and black make such a good green. Let me show you digitally. Here's why. Because look how yellow this is. When you darken a yellow, when black darkens a yellow, look how naturally it has a greenish appearance to us. So when we just go a little bit, in the bright zone, this is a very yellowish green, but when we darken it, it's just really very green. So this is a very plant-like color when we darken a yellow. And so adding black does a good job of that. So I think with your greens, maybe defaulting toward a more yellow-black mix and then adding your bright green as you see fit artistically. There's not some rule that says you shouldn't do that you shouldn't use like blue and yellow. It just tends to overpower the other. It tends to overpower the other things that are there. All right, here we go. There we go. I added some grassy meadows to your picture. Whoops, I made Ben's window real big. All right, here we go.
Hey, you got a email in there from Kara.
Let's find
about
it.
some lighting techniques.
Yeah. Let's find Kara here. Here we go.
Kara's itching for some feedback here.
Look at this ultra realism from Kara. Man, awesome. Worth the wait. It was worth the wait. Look at the feathers on that eagle. Wow. Good job, Kara. Man, that's tough. That is tough work to pull off. Okay, lighting effects. You're getting the fog. Oh, that kind of looks like a waterfall in there. So if you're trying to do a misty waterfall, great job. But if you're going for the lighting effect, I'm going to point back to what I did on mine, where I added color, and I always have more color where I need to darken it or where I need to lighten it. Black and white are both neutralizers. You eating some breakfast there, Ben? Is that the noise I'm hearing? Yeah.
No, man, I'm fixing to go play some volleyball.
Oh, you're getting all set up. Okay, it is past time. My bad. We got to get going. Kara, this is beautiful. Okay, glow. Ben, was Kara talking about getting the glow effect and you getting lighting effects in this?
Yeah, so Kara's interested in your opinions regarding proper lighting techniques that they can use
lighting
on
techniques.
Their
Okay.
tones.
Yeah, beautiful work with this. It looks so good. Okay, be mindful of how bright it goes.
Maybe go back to the share screen there.
Oh, my bad. Yep, we're looking at my picture. Okay, you want to be mindful. Let's do a few adjustments on this, Kara. Ben, if you need to leave, it's okay. You can do that.
Yeah, you guys are cooking with gas. I'm gonna get out of here and go chase the yellow ball through the sky.
Yeah, it's Saturday. We went overtime.
It's been a lot of fun. Keep soaking this up, Joe. Thanks for the good work, and I'll catch you guys soon.
Thanks for your help today, Ben. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Happy belated
good work,
birthday.
everybody. I love your paintings.
Okay, we'll see you. All right, I'm going to wrap this up with doing these suggestions here. So we got Kara's work in here. I'm going to set this in there, and I just want to show that you can. This bright color is beautiful, but it probably doesn't need to be that light. Let's examine it here. Let's examine it. You've got some pretty bright color coming in there. So there might be some bright reflections, but my guess is that you are noticing the contrast that's there, but the absolute brightness probably doesn't need to be quite that much. I want to see what happens if I make this a little more subtle. Now, the reason you would do that artistically, it's not because it has to be done or should be done. This is ideas. Okay, I'm going to blend some of this darker color up into here, just so that we have less of it, right? Same colors are there, but they're just going to be darker. So I'm going to take each one of these little feathers and darken them. The reason you do that is because you've got a glow in the background that this is competing with in brightness. So if this is the only thing in the picture and you're really trying to amplify it, that's great. But it may be that this is competing with your background and causing your glow to look less dramatic that you have back there. Also, there's a drop in color. You know, there's a color drop in your glow, just like I was saying when you get the fog effect. When you see fog, it's because there was a drop in color. Okay, so I just darkened all those in order to get this to look like it's not as bright as this light source that's in the back. So then all these things in here, if this is a misty waterfall, it's fantastic, you know, which it kind of looks like that could be some mist coming down. But wherever you want that glow effect, we want to maintain this color. So forgive me if this is not where you're going with the picture, but I'm going to take that color that you've got in there, that yellower color, and I'm going to put it everywhere I see some of these more blue or greener colors, because as we move away from the white, if we see that pattern, you know, things getting yellower as they get lighter, moving away from yellow as they get darker, but we want to see the transition of those things. Now let's just blend these. You know, it's just a little practice is all it is. Let's blend these, scribble it around, because you know, it's up to you to decide what shapes were intended to be seen in here. But just the presence of the yellower color around the rim of wherever you have that light, getting rid of the gray colors that are appearing in between your getting lighter and getting darker. So now let's take your light color and see how I still have some gray in there. We don't want that gray in there. So let's get that color right here, and let's take some gray out of it, and let's put it in here. I don't know if you have a color that's actually that bright, but we're just going to restore color right next to your whitest areas. And then I'll go all the way to a white. We probably don't want a true white, because your picture probably doesn't have a white that's quite that bright. Let's go a little bit darker with that. Oh, that was too much. Undo that one. Here, hang on. Let's go all the way gray. Let's go maybe here. Oh, we got white again. Here, let's just use the blender. Let's just do this. There we go. We won't let it be that white, because that's, again, my digital app is going to be capable of a white that's not makeable with your paints, and that's not fair. Okay. I'm just obscuring this. There's not a right shape. I'm not correcting any shapes. I'm just trying to get a glow effect by eliminating where it turns to gray in transitioning. So here is a color drop. See this? We have this gray in here, and that looks like a beautiful foggy cloud, but that may not be the effect that you're after right here. So let's blend some of these colors into there, get rid of the gray. I can just use the blender tool for this one. Let's do that. We don't want the color fallout. I need a name for that. It's like the color fallout, right? I'm going to pull color into there. However you do it is kind of arbitrary, but the end goal is that as a color is getting lighter or as it's getting darker. We don't want to have the sudden absence of color when we're mixing with paint. So I just pulled color into your glow there in order to enhance that a little bit. And don't be afraid of dark colors also to get good contrast. When you're doing whites, this gray is beautiful that you used here. I really like this. Don't be afraid to use it all over. You know, here, let's go like this. It's a great representation of a white that's in a shadow. So I'm going to take that gray and I'm going to be more generous with it right here and put a big shadow underneath the head of this eagle. Because what that does is it makes the, it makes the rest of the white look that much more brilliant. It's a great effect. So don't be afraid of contrast, especially when you're going for such realism. Then that contrast can be really helpful for getting 3D effects. And as long as you keep the color, as long as you don't add too much color, a gray will look very much like a white that's in a shadow. It's all about the color. Same with the tail. You've got a real nice glow effect. It'll look even better if you just pull those, forgive me for destroying your details, but just pull those dark colors out. Don't be afraid of those as long as the rest of your picture is still darker. And this is why it's important in pictures to work dark, work dark from the start as much as you're able, because it gives you room to go even darker later in the picture. Let's go like this. Let's make some feathers. Okay, I'm trying to, mimic your texture that you had. We're going to make some feathers in this eagle's tail. There we go. There, and see how the glow effect pops out. And the reason we have that backlit glow effect is because we are gaining color. See, there's not a dropout of color where the shadow comes into this. So I put a grayer shadow in there, allowing that mid-tone to have color in it. So just something to watch for. Great job. The brown shadow on those yellow hands looks beautiful. Great work on that. Your greens, I think, are excellent. Beautiful work on the greens. Again, don't be afraid to put contrast in there. Just these ferns, man, that's a tricky thing to do. Ferns growing off of something. That's a lot of work in detail. But again, a little bit of color goes a long way for convincing three-dimensional shapes. So you don't have to always do lots of details. In a fern, we have a ridge going down the middle. And so I don't know if those would be going away from me or coming toward me, but I just want to show you that a little bit of shadow color can do wonders for that. So I'm going to take this shadow color. Let's lighten it a little bit because that's kind of extreme. Let's go up like this. Hang on. Move myself out of the way. Lighten that. Okay. I'm going to put a shadow right up the middle of that. Let's put it right up the middle, just to suggest that we've got, like an arch to the shape of these ferns. Let's do that. And you can add all kinds of shape, just like with the train picture. Adding the shadow all by itself can create shape. So that's something to consider in there. If you don't like the way it looks, then certainly don't do it. But adding lights and shadows, don't always have to go with adding details. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do, tinkering with your picture. Thank you for giving me the honor of messing with such a beautiful picture. It really is a great picture. Here's some others that were low on time for me to tinker with, but these are beautiful pictures. I want to show off the stuff that you sent in. That's really cool. It looks like we got a wolf family inside of a is that it wouldn't be a dream catcher, right? Because it doesn't have like the webbing. Now, I'm curious what this decoration is. This looks like a very traditional thing, but I don't know what it is. Very beautiful, beautiful picture. Thank you for sharing this. And then we're going to go this one. Nice. I like that in the clouds. That's a cool piece. Boy, I bet that was some work doing the 3D shape on that eagle. Boy, I bet that really took some time. Dragon, glowing dragon. Beautiful work on the glow. Look at that. That thing looks awesome. That's an amazing glow effect that you got coming out of the middle of the dragon. Super cool. I'm just going to skim through the rest of these. These are all amazing pictures. Beautiful work, Kara. Beautiful work. Man, when you said you were working on some realism, you weren't joking. Oh, okay. You're showing me up. You're making my polar bears look all clunky. That is beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Boy, I'm going to have to work on my picture, aren't I? You've set the bar high. Kara, you are a very talented artist. Thank you for sharing this. This is amazing work. Okay, I'm going to go back to the inbox here. Mary's got some stuff. I have some desert paintings. Critique if you wish. This is from Mary. Beautiful work, Mary. I like the shadows. Good job on the purple shadows. Good job on distant atmosphere. Those are all very great. A gradient in the sky goes a long way. A little bit of gradient in the sky can really do wonders for a 3D sky. And then your most distant mountains may be a little bit less blue. That's, splitting hairs. I would say on this, I'm not going to bother critiquing this a bunch because this same thing that we did on the mural that Mitch submitted, I would go through to the exact same thing, adding the more purple blue color to the shadows. That's what I would do. I really like the way you laid this out. Good perspective, all kinds of. I'm taking it in, looking at things. Another thing you can do is clouds. You can add depth to your clouds by making larger ones up high and smaller ones down low, because clouds are at an altitude and the higher usually are closer, not always. So sometimes just by making larger shapes up here, smaller shapes down here, and you can add perspective to that. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, nice. We got some desert scenes. Got a beautiful moon. Good job on the moon. I like that choice of really light yellowish white, just barely tinted. Maybe it's just pure white. Really nice moon. I would refer to the previous pictures with the dark greens. Don't be afraid of working dark shadows. Black and yellow for greens really works well if you want to add some illuminated contrast to your picture. It's hard for the rest of the picture to compete with the intensity of green. That can be a beautiful color for a cactus in direct sunlight, but it's hard for the rest to compete with it. So you can, use that where it's applicable. Nice job. I like your scene. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mary. Okay. We saw Tyler. We saw this one. No, we got them all, folks. That's it. That's the whole inbox. Boy, Kara kind of set the bar high with the polar bears. I'm feeling intimidated. I'm feeling like I'm comparing myself to others right now. Okay, we had a good time today. This was a long one, but we had a good time. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Man, me and Ben just barely rolled out of bed. It's like 7 a.m. We're both kind of groggy. It's kind of fun. Ben's a good sport. He doesn't get paid. We don't get paid to do this. He just does it for the fun of it. And he was like, "Oh, I'll get going here. After I get some coffee in me, after I get some caffeine, I'll start picking up the pace a little bit." You can totally see that happen in the course of the live stream for both of us. All right. Anyway, I appreciate y'all being here. It's a lot of fun hanging out. So thank you very much. And watch for that video that's coming out. I'm gonna put this recent how-to video with the aspens up in the very near future. Okay, everybody, good hanging out with you. We'll see you next weekend.